post-fight instant reaction or immediate reaction live. So my prediction is fight. I call this fight skill versus will. And for the most part, it was skill versus will. Some things, by the way, congratulations to Philip Hrgovic for his win. I did bring comparisons of Vitaly Klitschko when he had to quit on his stool against Chris Bird. And then they called him a quitter. And then Vitaly Klitschko then came back and he fought Lennox Lewis in that great fight at War. And people gave Klitschko credit for that fight afterwards. And what we're seeing tonight is people giving Hrgovic credit for staying in there when he wasn't in the best of shape against Joyce, taking the punches, having a cut eye, and still being able to get through. Now that, I take my hat off to Hrgovic for that. Well done. I still don't rate him. I still don't think he's the fighter that people are pushing him out to be. And he hasn't done anything different to what I expected of him. What I was concerned about was Joyce. He looked heavy. He looked awkward. He looked like his balance was off. Yeah, he looked wrong. Like, it's like he was like a 50 or 55-year-old who'd been pulled out the crowd to try and make a comeback. That's how Joyce looked. He didn't look like a guy that had done lots of sparring. Like, he didn't look like a guy who'd done a lot of sparring. He looked fit to go 10, 12 rounds, but he didn't look like a guy who'd done enough sparring. His punches were slower than usual. He was overthinking. Normally when Joyce gets you against the ropes, he puts his punches 3, 4, 5 punches together. If you look at him in his career, that's what he's like. He didn't throw the punches with the same speed, the same confidence. There was something definitely missing. And I was looking for Ismail Salas and I didn't see him in the corner. I saw this other guy, Steve, who's giving him good advice, but it's like you could see the difference between when Ismail Salas was working with him. Can you imagine that Abel Sanchez, little story I'll tell you here. I used to talk to Abel Sanchez all the time. I used to talk to him all the time, as you know, on BWTM Sports. Then I believe Joyce went over to Abel Sanchez's gym, and then I kind of lost contact with him. But I was talking to Abel all the time. Then I don't know what happened between Abel and Joyce, and he was looking quite good there. He came back to England. He didn't hooked up with Ismail Salas. And I think Ismail Salas, as much as Ismail Salas didn't give him defense, he gave him better upper body movement and his balance looked better. I don't know what's happened in Joyce's career. And I think it happened around the time of the Zhang fight. Because I just noticed Joyce put on a lot more weight. He looked heavier, thicker, and he looked thicker when he fought. Even was it Christian Hammer he fought? He made a comeback fight. Somebody. He'd been out the ring for a while, and he looked thicker. And then after that fight, I think he went on and fought Joseph Parker, if I'm correct. But he looked thicker. And again, tonight I was watching him before he was working out. He looked overweight. He didn't look the same Joyce. He looked heavier, thicker. Not a guy that was primed, but like a guy who just kind of took off his shirt and got in the ring and fought. I've been watching Joyce for so long. You can't keep taking hard fight, and taking blows like he was taking tonight. Like, do you know what I mean? And I'm kind of glad he didn't get the win tonight, because I wouldn't like to see him fight. Joyce needs to pack it in. There's something else that Joyce does in fights. I don't know why he does it, but if you watch Joyce fights, he's always looking outside the ring. He'll go and push the opponent against the ropes, and he'll stick his head outside the ring like he's looking, even like he's got some sort of battle going on between him and, you know, look at me, look at what I'm doing. Look, I'm still here. I didn't get knocked out. I didn't get dropped. I'm still here. And then when if he lands good punches, you just see him look out the ring. Sometimes he's knocked guys down or knocked guys over, and he'll look across to the ring as if he's, I don't know if he's trying to send a message out, or he's sending a message to his family members, or I don't know what the hell he's doing. But it's not, for me, if your energy is doing that stuff, it's not in the ring focus 110%. Dubois does the same shit as well, where he start looking outside the ring looking for his dad. Dubois and Joyce do some crazy things. I don't know. They're trying to box and be cameramen at the same time. I don't know. I don't get it. I've never understood it. I don't know if you've peeped that as well as boxing fans, but that is something I noticed about Joe Joyce. Anyway, hope Joe Joyce retires. Again, I don't rate Philip Hrgovic, but the one thing he does have good speed, and he does have he does good speed and good movement. But Joyce was terrible. He was awful, absolutely awful, and you know he could have got that win, Joyce, if he just kept on Hrgovic. I said if he keeps Hrgovic back against the ropes, he can beat Hrgovic. He was doing the right things against Hrgovic, but then he allowed Hrgovic to start to come forward. Hrgovic is effective when you go forward. When you push him back, he's non-effective. And Joyce would have known this. Where was the double jabber, Joyce? When he had Hrgovic against Rhodes, he was scared to throw punches. And even when he threw punches, one point he threw punch, he almost did a 360 throwing punch. I think he's trying to do a Dillian White impression. I don't know, but his balance was off. He looked overweight. He didn't look like somebody who'd done sparring. He literally looked like, do you know what Joe Joyce looked like? The symptoms of. He looked like a guy who literally took his career in his own hands, has ignored the advice of other people, and all those people seem to have moved away from him. They all seem to have moved away and distanced themselves from Joe Joyce. David Hay must have seen it early and distanced himself. I don't know what Joyce was saying to people. I don't know. But from Ishmael Salas to Abel Sanchez, to I don't understand. Even Sam Jones kind of distanced himself. The only one who stuck with him is Adam Morley. I don't know if it's because they want him to get rid of Adam. I don't know what it is, but there's something that just is not right with Joe Joyce. I don't know what the hell it is, but he ain't right. I'm sure it'll come out in a few years' time, the truth about Joe Joyce. But I can tell you something damn right now. It ain't something right. There's something not right with Joe Joyce. And I said it before, something ain't right. And I don't think it's all to do with the blows to the head, but the blows to the head don't help. Something else is going on with Joe Joyce. I've heard stories about extramarital affairs. I don't know if they're true or not. But, from one trainer to another, the energy between Abel Sanchez and Joyce wasn't great from what I saw it there. Of course, obviously, Abel's doing a professional job. He's got to do with Hrgovic, but he was being trained by Abel Sanchez. And I can assure you, if he was trained by Abel Sanchez, there's no way Joyce's career would have gone the way it did. And first of all, Abel Sanchez would never have allowed Joe Joyce to go and fight Zhang. He wouldn't have allowed it. Stayed and wave it. One thing I know about Abel, he knows his boxing as a trainer. He would have told Joyce to avoid the fight. I could see that was a bad fight for Joe Joyce. Can you imagine? I saw in an article, it was somewhere written, I don't know where I saw it. It was a boxing forum, and the guy said this. He said that Joe Joyce will get beat by Zhang, he'll get stopped in the second fight by Zhang, and that will be effectively the end of Joe Joyce's career. That's what the person said. But I don't see how that guy was wrong. Ultimately, he's come back. He's got beat by Chisora. Now he's got beat by Hrgovic. Joe Joyce's career for me is over. There's no comeback for Joe Joyce, I'm afraid to say. It was kind of sad, watching Joe Joyce tonight, because it's like his timing was off. But if his time was off because he didn't get sparring, then I don't want to hear it. Like, you're a professional fighter and you allow a man who has had a few weeks in camp to come and punch you up. No. Do you know what I mean? You should have been able to step on the metal when he was tiring and close the show out on Hrgovic. More body work. Much more body work. When you had Hrgovic against ropes, she'd be working that body. If you couldn't throw the stupid headshots, just work the body, work the body, work. But Hrgovic would never be able to throw them hands in rounds 9 and 10. You'd have won the fight. But congratulations, Filip Hrgovic. Again, I don't rate Filip Hrgovic. Not interested in seeing him fight. However, I do give fighters credit give them credit where it's due. He came for a tough fight. His eye was bloodied. He showed a lot more heart than he has shown previously advertised. But come on. If I were Fabio Wardley, I would have probably fought Hrgovic faster than going and fighting Miller. As for the first fight, TKV versus David Adelaide. I first met David Adelaide when I was in camp with Hughie Fury when he was prepared to fight for the British title at Bolton. So I met David Adelaide there. He was still an amateur, and he was talking about getting lots of sparring. He was sparring with Hughie Fury as well. So I've known of David Adelaide for years. Like, we had a long chat. Nice enough dude and stuff. And the guy he's playing the character of the bad guy, all the rest of it, hype and stuff. That's fine. Bring tickets in. I get that. And I get that the character inside of boxing, i.e., the press conferences and the interviews, and that's one guy. And David's different to that guy from what I picked up from him. Anyway, that fight should be scored a no contest. That referee, no word of lie, that referee, as far as I'm concerned, was in on the act. If you look at that referee, not just from the knockout, but telling him to break. Before that, every round, TKV kept telling TKV, don't lean on him, don't hold him, don't do this, don't do that. Every time the referee had a chance, it was in TKV's ear, in his ear. And those sort of things you do when you know a fighter's not experienced. TKV came in fight was about 10 fights or something like that. Right? They know he's not an experienced fighter like that. So they can play the game. They can get the referee to get in the ear of the fighter. These are dirty tricks. And again, that got exposed because if you look at how TKV was told twice to break, they say protect yourself at all times. When the referee says break, there's no way a fighter should be able to land that left hook on you, particularly somebody who is noted for their left hook in David Adelaide. And David wasn't even landing that left hook properly until that moment, right? So the referee told him to break twice, and the referee's hand was in that, pulling his hand down. So to me, that fight should be scored a non-contest. That should be an immediate rematch, and that defeat should come off of TKV's record, and that referee needs to be suspended, and suspended till, I don't know, but he needs to be suspended and needs to be fined, because that was dangerous. Say protect yourself at all times, but the referee is putting you in a position where you can't protect yourself because he just told you to break, and then the guy started left on the break. Sorry, that fight is not null and void as far as I'm concerned. That fight needs a rematch. That fight also needs to be a no contest. The decision needs to be reversed. This is guys fighting. This is their career. You know what I mean? It needs to be reversed, and they need to do an immediate rematch. Because as far as I'm concerned, TKV was outboxing David Adelaide with the left jab. Adelaide may have landed a left hook afterwards, but he was only able to throw that left hook because TKV was told to bring his hands down because he was told to break. So he brought his hand down, bang, the left hook comes over. But before that, Adelaide didn't do anything. In fact, TKV was nicely using the jab, bringing the right hand into play, using the jab and confusing Adelaide. Adelaide didn't know what was going on with that jab. Beautiful left jab he had. Really liked it. For a big guy to box like. Do you know, I look at David Adelaide. Do you know, I said before, and I think it reminded me of Audley Harrison, but the more I look at David Adelaide now, I start to see images of Gary Mason. David Adelaide reminds me more of Gary Mason now, and the way he talks and the way he is. Very, very interesting. Gary Mason wasn't as abrupt and as harsh, but then Mason had the ABAs, and he was British heavyweight champion, and he was with Mickey Duff, and Mason had Bruno in his shadows. But do you know what I mean? Gary Mason, he's all right. He did well for himself, but he's got Gary Mason isms, and Mason was one of my favourite heavyweights, British heavyweights. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to end on this note. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thoughts in the comment section. was good to watch the Zone tonight. Yeah, they got me into this subscription. I think I'm into them for the next 2 years. That wasn't the plan. I paid for one fight. I cancelled, and it still kept me in the subscription. Oh well, at least I get to see the boxing tonight. Right, that's it for me. Yeah, another thing's come true, right? Did I not say about the YouTubers? YouTubers becoming a part of boxing shows. Now you got Charlie Parsons from the Stomping Ground running around. It's coming to pass. It's coming to pass. But you know what? There's one thing I'm telling you all right now. One of these press conferences coming up very soon is going to go horribly wrong. You see, everyone's testing the limits. Like Eubank with the egg slapping Connor in his face, right? That's another level. Banging tables and tables going over. That's another level. That's another level. Do you understand? It's going to get out of control. Eubank being fined 100,000. What is 100,000 if you're making 8, 10 million? What is 100,000? Chump change. 100,000 is like for somebody fighting for an era title or a British title. That's some serious money. But Eubank, it's going to be in the millions. That's chump change, man. Literally chump change for Eubank. Right. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments, like the video, give it a thumbs up. The more thumbs up, the better. Adam Smith mentioned a draw. LOL. Adam Smith, Mr. Bias, if ever I knew one. DOG, man. It's good to see you in the chat, by the way. I think that a draw between Hrgovic and Joyce. No. Joyce let that fight run away from him. Rounds 8 to 10 is where I think that Joyce should have, if he had thrown in body shots more accurate and he closed the shot. But then, as I said, Joyce looked terrible. He looked awful. He needs to retire immediately. And was I entertained? Yes, I was entertained while I was watching you, but because I was really cheering you on, hoping you could win the fight. But you're terrible, man. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Joyce looked like a guy who looked like a Porsche with no engine. And you're trying to start the car and wondering why the car ain't starting. There's no damn engine. Joyce is finished, man. Absolutely finished. If you want to talk to somebody shot, that's Joyce. Your balance is gone. You get a guy in position. You don't know how to put punches together on him. You've forgotten how to throw punches. Fabian Miller, man, that's a bad fight. That's a terrible fight. That's a terrible fight because of the way Miller fights. Miller's a pressure fighter, and he's a volume puncher against a guy in Fabio Wardley that picks his spots, right? The comparison of that fight is kind of like a Ben Eubank, the first fight, or Ben Eubank, any fight. You see, you look at Ben, he'll come at you throwing punches. Like, I'm just talking the volume of punches, not so much the start of the volume of punches, and the level of opposition that Miller's been in with. You know, I don't think that Fabio Wardley hits any harder than Dubois, and Dubois couldn't shift him until the last round. That was because of exhaustion. So Miller's got a great chin, and Ruiz couldn't move him. So I don't know where Fabio Wardley's going with Miller for this fight. I don't know. But I tell you something now. He better stay off them ropes. Because Fabio Wardley's got no defense on the ropes. He better stay off them ropes against Miller, because Miller will squash him every side of that those 4 posts. He'll squash him. And Miller will lean on him. Oh man, he'll lean on him, try and stack the energy out of Fabio. And if Fabio can't hurt Miller, I'm sorry, Miller will walk straight through Wardley. If he can't hurt him and get that respect and hurt him with something, you know how Fabio Wardley fights. Fabio Wardley, you got to tag by Fabio Wardley and then he comes alive. Miller may just need one to detonate in Fabio's chin. Do you know what I mean? In other words, I think that Fraser Clark would be a poor man's version of Gerald Miller. Because Gerald Miller, big guy, size, good jab. But Miller throws more punches, puts his punches together nicely. He's got a nice jab as well. It don't look good for Fabio Wardley. If he wins that fight, though, I mean, I've always thought Fabio Wardley is a world-class fighter. Good evening, JDM. I've always thought Fabio Wardley was a world-class fighter, but I've said it. The world of boxing and heavyweight boxing in particular, you've got to maneuver your way off the landmines, right? Because in heavyweight boxing, tick, tick, boom, you've got to maneuver your way around, especially someone like Fabio Wardley, who didn't have much of an amateur career. And Miller's deep. He's been around a while. Do you know what I mean? He'll know tricks that Fabio Wardley will begin to learn in camp. I see, and Wardley will smash Miller. Miller doesn't take boxing seriously enough. Just always comes in overweight. Bro, no, I don't agree with you there, man. I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you. Right? This fight, I really don't agree with you, this fight. Miller's a smart dude, right? He was overweight, but he took the opportunity against Dubois, right? He took the opportunity. It was given to him. He said, I'll take it. Because he thought he could beat Dubois. This fight would be different. Miller will train. Miller didn't look so big as he did against Dubois. And he won't make that mistake again, I don't believe. He looked better against Andy Ruiz. That's what I think. I would not make that fight. What the hell are they doing making that fight? I wouldn't make that fight as I wouldn't make Wilder versus Zhang, as I wouldn't make Zhang versus Joyce. Bad matchup. Yeah, I would have rather fought Wardley fought Hrgovic. I would have fought Wardley with Hrgovic faster for the WBA title than Miller, and then defend against Miller. Why? Because Hrgovic, not only that, he's wide open. Hrgovic, he's wide open. I can just see where that right hand that's so slung low when he's boxing, sometimes, or left hand is so low when he's boxing. I could see Wardley coming over the top with those big shots and hurting Hrgovic and catching him and getting him out of there. But against Miller, I'm just wondering where. Yeah, Miller was out a year before the Dubois fight. I'm just wondering where, if Miller tucks up tight, cross-arm defense, and walks Wardley back to the ropes, all he has to do is walk Wardley back to the ropes, push him against the ropes. Back up, go again. Back up, go again. That's it. I don't think Wardley's good enough. Wardley's going to have to do a lot of turning, lot of spinning, counter. And Miller's going to keep walking and putting foot pressure on Wardley around the ring. So I assume, because it's Wardley's hometown, he's going to have a huge ring. He's going to try and box around Miller. But he better not, like I said before, his back better not touch any of them ropes, because he could find his head being the football in Ipswich football ground. That's all I'm saying. The last time I went to Ipswich, if all you know Ipswich, yeah, they used to have a nightclub in Ipswich, yeah, big nightclub in Ipswich, 2 floors, and Kieran Dyer, remember Kieran Dyer, the footballer? Yeah, I think he started his career at Ipswich. I saw him there. He was injured, and he was on crutches, dancing in a nightclub. Yeah, Kieran Dyer. But the reputation of Ipswich went really downhill. Very, 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 very dodgy stories in Ipswich. I don't know how Ipswich has changed so much. I mean, I'm talking to you about 15, 20 years ago, man. We used to travel from London and go up to Ipswich for a night out. Music was good nights. But yeah, that's it for me. Have a great night, and keep watching the gaming as well on the channel now. And I'll have to do a career of Undisputed. Let me know which fight you'd like me to go in the heavyweight division with. Right, I'm out of here. Take care. Have a great night, and see you on the next big one.